Ladies and gentlemen, this is PJ Cavaya, the voice of State Wars Hockey, and you are watching the SWH podcast brought to you by Glass Half Full Productions. Thank you to all of our amazing sponsors, Mission Bauer, Tour, Alkali, La Beta, Rink Rat, Conix, Warrior, Hit Puck, Wraparound, and Top Shelf Targets. We look forward to seeing you all on the rink soon.
Hey, here we are, SWH Podcast, Glass Half Full Productions, episode number 19. Tim McManus here with Greg Thompson from Long Island, New York. How's it going today, GT?
Yeah, everything's good. Everything's good in the neighborhood over here. Just kind of hanging, waiting for the podcast all day, and very excited to just discuss, some exciting news and just go over some cool things for State Wars this summer.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's been a good week. So far it's only Wednesday, but the last couple weeks have been real refreshing on our end. With State Wars being finalized in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and being able to get things moving finally and get out of that waiting zone. I felt like we were that person on an airplane getting ready to land, and it was circling for 3 weeks. So it was real stressful. But here we are in that great position, and registration has been going through the roof these last 2 weeks, to the point where we've been honestly telling people that, July 1st is a deadline, but don't wait, because we have divisions already, close to sold out. And unbelievably and shockingly to me, our 6 and under, 8 and under, and 2010 divisions might be sold out as of today. So that's pretty awesome to see, Greg.
That's awesome to see. And, that's the future of the sport. And it's cool to see, teams like Zubin's kids and, ex-player, like longtime roller hockey players just bringing their kids back into the game. Danny Costanza continues to bring 600 teams. Coach D is bringing a 6U team. Peter Dale. I think there's a team from Missouri. So I think that's pretty awesome. And things are looking good for the future of the sport.
Yeah, you bring up a great point. I want to do a quick shout out to Brian Spano, our buddy from Rapid Fire, who said hello online.
Team Red.
Wow. Yeah, Team Red captain, right?
Yep.
So hello to Spano. I'm living vicariously through him, seeing him and his boys skating around some outdoor rink out east. So that's pretty awesome stuff. So miss seeing him and all those boys from Rapid Fire, and hopefully we'll see some of them this summer at State Wars. But and if not there, at Winter Wars later in August for sure, I would imagine in Feasterville. But yeah, you bring up a great point, Greg, because I was having this conversation with someone the other day. I'm starting to see now that second generation stuff we've been talking about starting to happen. Big news a couple of weeks ago. CJ Yoder purchased his own rink now out in Colorado Springs, starting his own program. So that's real exciting to see CJ. Starting Legends, I believe is the name of his facility. And they bought a brand new rink, boards, glass, everything. It's being installed right now. So they're hoping to get that going, hopefully by August 1st. And maybe earlier, so teams for State Wars can practice there. But see someone like him who's, a great ambassador for the sport, great with the kids, loves the sport, been around since the beginning. And, he worked for a rink for a while. He was working for an ice rink, probably not really happy there. His passion's inline hockey, and he took the chance. He's opened his own rink now, and that's great for us and great for the sport, because, Colorado is just going to, that's a state that's had so many great hockey players, and we've been worried about the last few years. And now, that's just going to take off there with someone like him at the helm in the sport, invested into him for himself, and he's got young kids and whatnot. And you brought up Dan Costanza, perfect example there. Another former Mudcat, another Team USA player. We've had him on the podcast doing great things in Illinois. He's got young kids starting a program there. He's looking to get his own building to do some stuff for practices and whatnot. He's got a ton of teams coming out to State Wars from his IRHL program. You mentioned Peter Dale. He's been doing it for years now. His kids are a little bit older. Maybe need to have Peter adopt a 6-year-old or something to get him going with the younger kids for a bunch of years. But, he's got a business with it and stuff. So he's vested in the sport, and he's got his Farm Tough program, which has been rocking and rolling. Yeah. They got a shit ton of teams coming to State Wars from their program. And then, New York, you mentioned Coach D, Dino Barone, who, is been doing great things out here. And Derek Kern, former sniper, same thing. He's got an 8 and under team of all his Royals ice hockey kids coming out to play. They came out last year, some of them. He's got more kids interested this year after the ones that came last year going home and telling the other ice parents, you got to check this thing out. So he's got a whole group of kids coming, and he's got young kids playing, and we got a lot of young New York teams coming. We used to always rely on the Jay Muro and the VO and stuff. Now we got, Chris Hoysick and Aki from the Mustangs and Dino and Derek Kern and, a lot of people, the Botkins and the Gindies and all these people. And what's great about it, Greg, is from talking to Dino, they're infiltrating the ice market. So they're getting the Gulls kids and the Royals kids and these kids from out here, the Arrows and Islander kids playing, which hasn't really happened on Long Island in a long time. It happened back when I was coaching and when you were playing, and maybe a little bit with Muro early on, but it's been kind of a lapse in that out here. The ice kids weren't really doing a lot of roller hockey. So now seeing that happen, you're going to see the talent level of the Long Island teams, I think, improve a lot. Yeah. But, those are guys that played the game a lot. Now they're having kids, coaching. That's what we need to see happen more and more around the country to see our game grow.
110%. Also, Zubin as well. He's a longtime player, and he's got a bunch of little kids, and he's doing some awesome things out in Michigan right now. He's got a lot of youth players, and I know he's starting a league as well. So that's awesome to see. And
Rolston hockey, I think, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
He emailed me yesterday, actually, Greg, last night. He said he's got a 6U, 2 8Us, and 2010 team coming for Michigan.
It's awesome.
So yeah, another great guy, Dave Zubin for the sport. I think he's got like 50 kids. I don't know how many kids he's got. He's got a lot of kids.
Yeah.
Coaching those young kids. He plays in the 35s and stuff, so he loves it. He actually was happy moving to Fort Wayne. He's like, you know what? It's better for us to get out of town a little bit and go somewhere. So they were excited to move to Fort Wayne. Yeah. But just great stuff for the sport. I'm real excited for the future when you see these guys getting involved now and doing these things for the game. Greg, awesome. I know, Greg, you're having a kid, so I'm counting on you for a 6U team in 6 years as well.
Yeah, we'll see. Like you're in the rink all day, every day. When you like with work with State Wars, we're on the road at the rink, so it gets a little tiring. So we'll see. If I have a kid who's interested, we'll see. But I'm not gonna force the issue for sure. Might be
soccer. O'Leary, Greg just shouted out here, so might be getting the band back together for Fort Wayne. So all
right, Timmy O.
If Timmy O's doing that, you better get on it, Timmy O, because we're almost sold out. So get the band moving here and get them organized.
Awesome. Yeah, I know he played with the Mud Snakes a couple years back. I'm not sure if he's playing with them again, but be awesome to see Timmy O. That's for sure. Again, touching with Missouri, you said Rob Ferraro's got a 6U team as well. He's a rink owner, and it's awesome to see youth players playing out of his rink again. So I know the Stanley Cup really helped the Missouri programs, and more and more kids are looking to play some roller hockey, so that's cool.
Well, it's funny, this pandemic has worked well in two different aspects, I think. One, we talked about how these kids that can't get on the ice rinks have been buying skates and skating around town a lot more. And I think they're realizing it's pretty fun, and hopefully more and more are going to try to get on the wheels more often. And I think parents are noticing now that maybe, it's okay that our kids can take a break for a couple months here or a few weeks or whatnot, and they're going to be fine. There's other things that it's good for their bodies to rest a bit. Roller hockey is a more cheaper alternative to ice, which has become, unfortunately, ice hockey has become like a rich man's sport. You got to have a ton of money to play on these travel teams, and it's kind of ridiculous, and it's unfortunate. So, roller hockey is not as big of a commitment. It's definitely a cheaper alternative. So I think more kids will be playing for that reason. I know, talking to Chad Siebel at Tour Hockey yesterday, he said, I think 3 years, was it 3 years he told me? Maybe it's not. Maybe he said 6 months of inventory in 3 weeks, or it was something like that. He got rid of everything, basically. They had their new line come out. Mm-hmm. They were just booming with stuff, which is great to see Tour Hockey, which is, as you know, Greg, a pure roller hockey company doing so well during this. And the other thing I think is hopefully going to help, just hockey in general, is when this NHL playoff format starts. As you know, there's not a lot of watches on TV right now.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking that you're going to find a lot of people watching a lot of hockey that normally wouldn't, and I think hockey in general is going to find a lot of new fans when this summer's over, of people just getting hooked on it. Because as you know, whether you play it or watch it, it's a sport that you instantly fall in love with. So there's a lot of people out there that don't know much about hockey, and they're going to click on and watch maybe 3 playoff games in a row when there's nothing to watch right now. You can only watch reruns of your favorite soap opera so often. So they're going to watch hockey. And I think you're going to find a lot of new fans just for hockey in general. And hopefully that'll turn into more roller hockey fans as well.
Yeah, that's cool. It's a good point there. Just watching the news and reading articles and stuff like that. Doesn't look like Major League Baseball is really going to get off the ground for the season. So that's interesting as well. Just because, a lot of money and that type of issue going on with them. But it's going to be cool. It's cool to see the NHL start back up. Our boy Pete Penicky works the NHL. He does a lot of the events. He's pretty positive about all this stuff going on, and should be pretty cool to see.
Has Vegas and Toronto been confirmed as the 2 locations?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they confirmed anything yet.
That's what I'm hearing. My inside sources are telling me Vegas and Toronto, and Vegas just makes sense, right?
Yeah.
So, and I know some people know people in the hotel industry there and whatnot, so they're already booking stuff. So I think that's a done deal out there. And I definitely see Toronto because, some players are going to be there for a long time. They want it to be somewhere where I guess it's a place they want to be. I think that was the issue with Columbus and a couple of markets that not much really going on, and to have guys there for months or whatever might not be the spot they want to be at. So I can see Toronto, and plus it just whets the appetite of that Canadian market too. I think for the sport, because Canada is obviously so big with the NHL. So get a Canadian, in Toronto is a huge market for the game.
Yes, touching on Canada, we've had a couple Canadian teams contact us about coming to State Wars. I was reading yesterday, there's still a ban for the border. Unfortunately, I think it's till, from what I was reading, at least mid-July.
Yeah.
So, it's tough, and I know the NHL, they'll get something, passed, like some type of travel. Yeah, whatever they need to do to get the NHL players over there. But, as far as State Wars teams go, I think it's really going to be tough for them to come over the border this year, unfortunately.
Yeah, we got some teams that are just so into it that are hoping still because they feel that, the tournament starts July 31st and some divisions obviously don't start until August. So they feel like they're going to be okay.
Yeah.
I know we have a 45 and over team that always comes, which is the end of the tournament. We have the younger 2011s or 10s, Mike Longo's group. He's already emailed. So I think it might be a situation where we'll hold out as long as we can to finalize and maybe hold them a spot or 2. And then we got to be able to say, sorry, guys, we got to move on here.
Yeah.
Which will stink because we can't, if the border opens July 31st and we don't find out till the 31st, we can't all of a sudden put a team in the tournament, which is tough. But
the schedule will be out before that.
Yeah. So hopefully we'll be able to work with Canada. I know Ben Frank from Canada Inliner reached out to me because, they're concerned, obviously the teams won't be able to go to Norwich West that normally would, which stinks that they love going to that great tournament out in California. With the border issues, they usually get a lot of BC teams out there and whatnot. So I was talking to Darren the other day of Norwich and, and that stinks for them as well. So we're all in the same boat, I think, with Canadian teams, And even for State Wars, I mean, those that were concerned about international teams in general, maybe some people were afraid of people bringing something from another country here, but there's virus and stuff, that's, I guess, one good thing to tell you is we won't have teams from other countries. Canada would be the only possibility, but we're not going to have our teams from France and Colombia and Brazil and everywhere else that we normally would. They'll be back in 2021 in full force, but this year it'll mainly be U.S. teams and hopefully maybe some Canadian teams sprinkled in.
Yeah, no, 100%. Do you want to move on to 8 and under here? Go over some of the teams that have registered and looking to come this year.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to. Nothing's guaranteed until everyone's fully paid, of course, and that's what I've been telling people. Most, I'd say out of these teams we're going to mention today, I would say half of them are paid and half aren't. Some of them are large groups that have just let us know what they have and they're working on getting money together. So I think that's 90% good, but obviously anything could change. But as you mentioned, 6 and under, we're looking at, definitely a team from New York and Michigan and Wisconsin, at least 1, maybe 2 from Illinois, and hopefully 1 from Missouri. 8 and under, we've got, the Bulldogs from California coming out to play, which is great. And I know the Connex Flames, a new group from Michigan. And I heard a rumor that Chris Osgood might be the coach, the former goalie of the Red Wings. So that'd be pretty awesome if he's doing that. I think his son's on the team. Then we got the Lebeda Devils from out in New Jersey coming out. Derek currently mentioned New York, his group. I don't know what they're calling their team this year. They can be the Royals or what they're calling them.
Yeah.
What were they?
Maybe the Ducks.
They call Long Island Ducks. So they're bringing out a team from New York. I know some of the 495ers are bringing out another team, or possibly they might have a third team for 8 years. I actually told them yesterday we don't have room for 3. IRHL, Costanza has 1 or 2. Farm Tough's got 1, and Zubin, we mentioned Michigan's got 2 teams in 8 and under. So we're looking at an 8 to 10 team division in 8 and under.
That's awesome. And
then in the 2010 division, we have the Tor River Monsters coming out from Pennsylvania, IRHL in Illinois, CJ Yoda's group, and then they're calling their teams the Tor West Coast Warriors. They'll have a 2010 team. I believe his son's a 10. Farm Tough, Wisconsin. The Bulldogs in California are going to play in that division as well. Zubin's Michigan group. So we'll have and I know there's a St. Louis Blast team wanting to come, but they're having some issues with ice tryouts the night before and how late they can start the next day. And we can't do any scheduling requests, unfortunately. So but that division is going to be full. The 2009s, we have a 495er team from New York coming out. We have a Virginia team, a real strong Border Cat Michigan team, a couple of IRHL teams, Farm Tough again. In that division, we're just getting registration going. I'm sure we'll have a couple more sprinkled in there. So, yeah, that's just a start right there.
Yeah, that's great to see. We touched on it before. It's great to see the younger teams and younger programs starting to flourish. Obviously, when we go out to California, we're in Winter Wars East. We do see a lot of these teams, but it's just great to see these club teams forming again. Like CJ Yoder's club team, they're going to have a club team, a full organization. It's great to see the New York teams again. For a while there really wasn't a lot of youth teams coming to State Wars. It was always the older kids. So, it's great to see the younger kids as well. And obviously, like we touched on before, Dan Costanza's group. Again, we always saw a big number in the older kids in Illinois, but now we're seeing a lot of younger teams. So it's great to see. And, our friends down in Virginia, Carl and Chad. Yeah. They're doing great things.
Rink Rat Patriots.
Yep. Rink Rat Patriots. So all good stuff there in the younger divisions. It's awesome.
We even have teams traveling in pretty far. I know we got, California besides the Bulldogs. I know the Militia group, they're bringing out Will Shepard and Dan Maxwell. They have an 05 team. They have an 06 team. They have an 07 team. I believe they have an 03 or an 04 team. They have the junior team in Juggernaut, their Rink Rat Groove group coming out. Florida, I know you talked to Todd Burgle from the Florida Flash yesterday. They're hoping to bring a few youth teams. We have some Georgia teams, the Peachtree City group, the Lizard King group, some teams coming out from there. Teams from Texas had signed up. So, it's great to see, teams from all parts of the country coming out to play, not just the middle of the country. New Jersey, not only about our boys in Jersey, John and Justin McKilmy and Dennis, the Assault to coming out with some teams and the Iska Grizzlies. So, the Pharaohs coming out, Pennsylvania, a whole new group this year. They got a bunch of teams coming. That's Donnie Leishman and Jamie DiDomenico and those guys. And like I mentioned earlier, the River Monsters, they're bringing out a couple different teams. So, awesome to see.
Yeah, we also can't forget about our friends down in North Carolina as well, Tim. We got the Speed organization as well.
Yeah, waiting for them to get registered before I mention them. But Speed coming out with a couple teams. And
all right.
I know our buddy John Janvaria, Michigan, they always have a really strong group. Talk about Ice Kids supporting the inline game. That they're Rolling Hogs group. They got an 05 and an 06 team that'll be teams to watch out for in the top division, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great to see.
Let's jump into a little bit Palma Pro here. Palma Pro, we could officially announce now who our teams are for the division. We've closed out registration there. We've had a couple teams reach out the last couple of days. I won't mention who. I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, but we had a couple teams reach out trying to get a team in and just reviewing things. Just weren't, in my opinion, ready for the division roster-wise. We're very particular about who's playing in this division. We want to keep the games really close and competitive. So there were a couple teams that might be playing in some other tournaments that have reached out, and so we passed on them, unfortunately. So we have 11 teams. Unfortunately, the Mission Bauer Border Cats are not playing in the division this year. Ryan Kish, I believe it was, from their team getting married. They had changed his bachelor party date like 3 or 4 times with COVID and didn't realize our dates were changing to this for pro, and they had booked it, and it just is what it is. So they're out. But I'm sure a bunch of other kids who aren't going to the bachelor party are already jumping on other teams from that team, which will strengthen other groups. So instead of forcing a 12th team, we're just going to go with 11. So the 7 teams that had seeded in from last year, and I think I'm saying these in order of the seeding, but I may mess it up, but I'll just go with it off the top of my head. So we had the Mission La Beta Snipers were the 1 seed, Mission Black Ice were the 2 seed, the Palma La Beta Golden Knights, I believe, were the 3rd seed. I believe Rink Rat was the 4th seed, Tour Roadrunners the 5th seed, the Tour Mudcats the 6th seed, and the Border Cats are now out, who were the 7th, and then Alkali Revel will be the 8th team in. So that will be the 7 teams from last year that have qualified in. And then, drum roll here are 4 new teams that are getting in the tournament are, Conix Pure, who have played the last few years. They had a tough year last year, as we've talked about, but they're coming back. And I think they're one of the teams we'll talk about in a little bit, rumors of who's playing for who, but I think they're making some changes. So I expect them to be stronger. So they're in. The Alkali Iska Grizzlies are back in from last year. They played their first year last year and beat Conix for their first win. So they're excited to be back. I know they're looking to beef up a little bit.
Yep.
And then our last 2 teams I'm really excited about were teams that probably really made up 4 teams initially, and taking some of our advice on this podcast about putting their heads together. 2 groups have gotten together to form 2 different teams, as opposed to having 4 separate ones trying to get in. Now we have 4 groups making up 2 teams. So those combinations are, one group, I think they're calling themselves Rink Rat Liberty, which is some of the Liberty guys from Philly, some of the Revision guys, and some of the Inferno guys from up in Pittsburgh. And as you know, the Pittsburgh guys, those Inferno guys are pretty good, and some of the Liberty guys. At Winter Wars East, they have tight games with the Sniper guys that are there, and Black Ice and the Roadrunners. So they're not going to be a team to discount, GT.
Yeah, they're going to be good. The Inferno kids I'm really impressed with. They have a lot of young talent out there. That's very, very good. And they have experience in the division now. Well, some of them played with the guys from Buffalo last year. So they're very good. And obviously the Liberty guys who are playing as well, there's some very good talent there with Anthony Merrigan and his group. So that's going to be a real good team to see, see at State Wars. I'm just curious to see who their goaltender is. I'm not really too sure, but they'll be solid. They'll have a mixture of some veteran talent and leadership and some young, really, really awesome Pittsburgh kids for sure.
Yeah, and then the last team getting in will be, I think they're calling themselves Envious Rink Rat, and that's a combination of George Brown's Excitement group that 2 years ago, if you remember, defeated Alkali in a shootout in the round robin, which was a huge win for them, and they've given the Snipers fits a couple times.
Yeah.
So they have a team combined with the Rink Rat Michigan group that had split away from the overall Rink Rat team in California to start their own group. Ryan Perry and Corey Hodge and those guys. So they've put their forces together to make one team. So I think that could be a pretty good team as well. I see Blake Bennett had chat on our chat here. I wrote Roller Season. So he's one of those guys. I've heard rumors. Is he with the Roadrunners or with his Envious group? Maybe he could even chime in where he's playing, and because he's a great player, him and his brother. So, we're going to get into a little bit rosters where we're hearing some rumors here. We'll call it Rumor Day as far as maybe some changes in some pro rosters.
Yeah, that's another good team as well. The Excitement, it's funny. I think Ryan Perry and Hodge and those guys, they all started out playing with George Brown. So it's coming around full circle now. So they're kind of back and united again as one. Obviously they have some familiarity with each other. And I think it's going to be pretty cool to see. And I'm sure George Brown will be coaching them.
And I think that's going to help. And you had mentioned on a podcast previous, I don't know if we were talking to Kyle Kramer about this, or no, maybe it was Kyle Novak about, having a coach on the bench, how it is a big deal in the pro division because you need someone to take control. You saw that with the Rink Rat team when Dan Maxwell took over out west. A couple of years later, they win the Palma Pro Invitational. Without a coach, that doesn't happen. And it just makes things a lot easier. And of course, I'm speaking as a coach. I want to pump my own tires here as far as how important coaches are. Hopefully get my contract renewed with the Snipers. But George Brown, if he's not involved, I don't know if that Ryan Perrigo, if they have a coach. Maybe it might be a Reggie Dunlop situation where player coach stuff. Because GT, you've done it and I've done it. It sucks. So I think George Brown being in charge of that group is going to raise them another bar. And I'm hoping the Liberty Inferno guys together for Rink Rat Liberty are getting a coach together too as well.
Yeah, no, exactly. Coaches play a huge role in any division, and a lot of people always they don't really think about the pro division as much. And some players also think that coaches are useless in those divisions, but I disagree. And just goes to show you that coaches play a huge role in the team. So yeah, so I'm reading now. Looks like Blake Bennett and his brother, they're both playing with the Roadrunners this summer. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I saw that there. Roll of Dad News just put out big news from the Bennetts. Yeah, so I think George Brown had mentioned that maybe I don't know if it's a situation just where they weren't sure if they were going to get in or not. The Roadrunners are definitely in, and Blake and they play on some other teams and stuff with the other tournaments with the Roadrunners. So maybe it just makes sense.
Yeah,
and that definitely makes sense for those guys as far as playing with the Roadrunners, a young team or whatnot, a steady group. And let's start with the Roadrunners there. So you got the Tour Roadrunners who, I got to give them credit. They've been the talk of the town a lot with a lot of guys on our podcasts. No one's picking them to win necessarily, but they're like everyone's X Factor team out there. Like, who's a team that maybe isn't considered in the big three right now, but you could see winning this tournament in the next year or two? Who would that team be? And it feels like a lot of guys are saying the Tour Roadrunners with that. And, we both obviously speak highly of those guys on that team. We've had Joey DiMartino and Max Halverson on this podcast. And, I've tried to get Vio on. He's been slinging bologna or whatever he's doing at the deli and the supermarket during this pandemic work and whatnot. So he's working crazy hours. So we haven't had Vio on yet, but we'll get him on one day. But, the Roadrunners. So let's talk about that team. So they're obviously young, but, and I'm just going to speak straight here. I think the young thing goes out the window at this point. Young works for a little bit, but guys that are in college or beyond, come on, it's a young man's game.
Yes, I agree.
I'd rather use old as an excuse, like the Snipers right now, than young as an excuse. So they're not kids that are in the middle school and high school. They're been playing pro forever. Joey D's he's been playing pro since he's been in diapers. So these guys have experience. It's like, I think like the Edmonton Oilers back in the day when they took over the NHL with Gretzky and whatnot, they were young, right? So young is out the window now. They've had the experience. They could have beat Palma last year. They lost that game we've talked about a lot. We've showed video of it in overtime when Keith Johnson got injured. And that was a big loss for them, but they might have went further that would have got them into the semifinals and the top four in the Palma Pro, which is a tough feat. So who knows what happens there? They might have won the division if they win that game.
Yeah.
You look at that team, Joey D, Max Halverson, we talk about those guys a lot, but it can't just be those guys, right? The whole team other guys are on that team that are important. And maybe Vio, I'm not criticizing any coaches here, but you can't count on two guys to play the whole game, like not in this division, like look at our team. We have Matt White, we have Nathan Sigmund. They play one every 3 shifts, so they're rested to keep going. So, the Bennett brothers and Della Morte and Corso, I don't know who is on the team for sure right now, but these other guys are all going to step it up, I'm sure. And, if they play it right and get the goaltending they normally do, I think the Tour Roadrunners have a good shot.
Yeah, I agree. They have a good mix there, some awesome talents, and also Nick Martini as well, who plays a big role in that team. I don't have the roster in front of me, but he's the heart and soul, and I think he's the gritty guy. He's the sandpaper to the team, and he does a little bit of everything there. So, with Della Morte scoring big goals these days, his game has risen to another level, and he's a premier player in that division now. So, with a mixture of the Bennett brothers and the team they already have, they're going to be really scary. And they also have, guys like Brett Jackson, Mula, Kowalchuk in net with Keith Johnson. That team's going to be scary, and if they get hot at the right time, they could do some damage.
Yeah, I'm trying to look here at the rosters as you're talking there. Yeah, for sure. They got some good young players, and that was just Matt Koleski calling in. I just texted him, just said, Matt, it's Podcast Wednesday. What are you doing right now? So he was just calling in to check in. So yeah, no, I think that's a good group there, and what I love about the Roadrunners too is they've been a team that's stuck together, and they have good players and they know how to play together. They'll probably playing at a Tours or an Arch West together, if not both. They might be playing junior D1 pro. Some of them will be playing juniors at State Wars, Juggernaut. So they'll have a lot of games probably under their belt before their Palma Pro games start. But the other tournaments, not necessarily this year, Palma Pro starts before juniors at State Wars, but in the other tournaments, just getting those games in will be a big help to them.
Yep, exactly. We talked about it with Joey, when he was on the podcast. The more games, I feel like the better he gets. The more games, and he just gets in that roller hockey game shape by the time pro starts. So, yeah, things are looking good for the Roadrunners.
I know back in the day when I was coaching snipers, like junior team and whatnot, I remember we would always go to airs or maybe Tours back in the day. I don't know if we did Tours so much, but airs or USAC or whatever before Narch. And Narch was always our goal to win. And a lot of times we would go to those tournaments and not win them, and they were a weaker tournament. And we got our feet going. And by the time we got to Narch, we were on cruise control and we'd win. Yep. So getting that practice in was big because a lot of guys hadn't been on their wheels a lot. And I know you used to love playing junior D1 before pro started and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
You got those games in. I remember a couple times Jack Combs and some of the ice guys, even Pat Maroon, they would play those divisions for us first because they've been on the ice all year and they hadn't been on their wheels just to get the rust off, and then pro would start and we'd be ready to go. But if we jumped right into pro, it might have been tough. So I know a lot of teams are playing at Tours Pro this year in Florida, which is great to see. So I'm sure a lot of guys will get the rust out, and the guys that are playing in Arch West as well. And with us being last, I got to assume that the talent level will be back to where normal probably for Palma Pro after guys get 1 to 2 pro tournaments and plus other divisions under their belt.
Yeah, that's going to be key for a lot of players and teams. Getting that skate in, getting back in hockey shape. That's clutch for the teams who are playing and players. Yeah. So good stuff.
See here, Roll of Dad News commented the way Keith has been playing last summer is a huge help. Keith stood on his head all summer long talking about Keith Johnson, the goaltender of the Roadrunners, and I agree. Keith's a great goalie. Mm-hmm. And they had 2 good goalies last year. That was the thing, So they have a good team, and I expect good things from them. So let's talk about another team, Greg. Pick who's a rumor, a roster change, or somebody playing for a team that you've heard that we can bring up another team here. Who's somebody that you're hearing that might be on a different roster?
Let's touch on Alkali.
Okay.
All right. I heard through the grapevine, I heard Ryan Marker is their big signing this summer. I'm not sure how true it is, but Ryan Marker is a great goal scorer, kid from
I heard that's false, by the way.
Excuse me?
I heard that's false, by the way, before you get too far with it. I heard that he was going to play with them, but then realized he had a wedding that weekend. So,
all right. So then I guess not. Yeah. So, I mean, he's a good goal scorer. He could have helped them tremendously on the score sheet. But do you want to get into Alkali at all? Do you know any inside scoop with what's going on with them?
No, I just think, with them, their roster might be a little shorter than normal. I think Troy Loggins might be having surgery possibly, I had heard. And maybe, Derek Burnett, a great defenseman for them. I heard his wife graduated in law school. Congrats to her that it might be that weekend for him. So they might be down a couple key players. So, but I know Joe Cook, I know that group, they'll pick up some players. Obviously to me, that's always that's my pick each year. When of course I can't pick my own team to say who I would put money on to win the tournament. Alkali is usually my team that I put money on, knowing how Joe is in that group. Someone wrote he's getting married, confirmed. So that's even crazier for Ryan Marker, that not only did he not know it was his wedding that weekend. So it's one thing we don't know that your wife says, hey honey, you forgot we had that wedding that weekend. Oh shit, I forgot about that. But it was actually his wedding, which makes that even hilarious to me that he didn't realize that. So
Lord.
Well, not too many weddings have been going
congrats,
on.
Ryan.
What'd you say?
Congrats on the wedding.
Yeah, congrats to him. If anything changes between now and then, we might see him in an Alkali jersey. So
cool.
That would have been a good pickup. But Yeah, so that could affect Alkali a little bit, but like we said, they have so many good players, and I'm sure Cody Kettler is at the rinks in Missouri, and there's so much talent out there that I could see them or the guys in Michigan finding somebody, Tyler Spezier or whatnot. They have so many connections with ice and roller guys that I'm sure they could find somebody to come in there. So,
Yep.
So that's that team. I'll bring up Palma. I had heard that Scotty Savage, who had played for Alkali years ago, I heard he is playing with Palma this year. So that's a big signing for Palma if that's true. They already had picked up Itan Chavera to come back this year with an already stacked roster. And I look at, Coach Rob is he's going all out this year to win this Palma Pro Division. This has been the one they haven't won, and they may be the most improved team, and the most team to look out for this summer in the Palma Pro might be Palma, but that's the one player I heard there. And then maybe I heard a rumor that, I don't know if it's true, that maybe Sean Garsh might have hung him up in the Pro Division. If that's true, that's sad to see. Greg gets his dad. Sean's a great player, but I heard that might be a true. That's a rumor I heard the other day. So that's sad to hear, but hopefully if that is true, we'll see Sean playing maybe with the Mud Snakes in AA or something like that. So another great player.
Yeah, I did hear that rumor as well. I heard Shawnee wasn't playing at least this summer. I'm not sure, for the future events, but he's not playing this summer. And I did hear he may be playing with the Missouri Mud Snakes in Senior AA. So either way, it'd be awesome to see Shawnee at State Wars. One of the best players to ever play the game. And I did hear that rumor about Scotty Savage. I think I brought it up a couple podcasts ago. So that's a huge pickup for Palma. So just great. I'm just going through some of their names, and they do have a big roster. I'm not sure, where everyone's going. If some guys aren't making it, obviously having Garsh's spot open up, that helps them,
Right.
with adding someone else. But it does hurt losing Sean for sure. So.
Yeah, we may have to tell Palma they may have to bring an extra bench with them to the game. So put everybody on the bench if all the players I hear they're having this year. So no, I expect big things from the Golden Knights for sure. And that's a match I'm excited to watch, seeing how, whether it be a Sniper Palm or Black Ice Palm or Alkali, so many good teams out there. Palm is going to be a fun team to watch for sure. And I know from talking to Ethan that day, they're real excited to show this new team out. I could just think him, Travis Snow, John, Junior Cadiz. Think about that, Greg. I mean, it's going to be scary. They're going to be a good team, and if they're going to tours and playing, I'm sure, North West, like they're going to be rolling big time by the time Palma Pro starts. So if I know Coach Rob Chernomid, they're going to be bringing their A game to Fort Wayne for sure.
Yeah.
Another team out there, Mission Snipers. I mean, it's not so much rumors as much with the Snipers when it's you and I talking here, but just excited to announce that Matty White will be back this summer. Missed last year for us, and in my opinion, and when you talk on the podcast to people, when they talk about top players in the game, in my opinion, arguably one of the top 2 or 3 best guys in the game is Matt White. And we missed him last summer, and he's back. So I'm excited to announce that for sure.
Yeah. I mean, it's impressive that we won without him, and then just to add him to the roster, that's pretty damn good. He's one of the best out there, obviously, and he's a huge goal scorer, and he dominates the division. So having him on the roster really helps. We have lots of offensive firepower, so that's awesome. It's good to see Matty's playing, and I'm excited for it.
Anything with Black Ice? Have you heard? I know you talked to Jay Muro a lot. Anything with Black Ice with their roster or anything you've heard? Or
Yeah, I did hear. I just heard one thing. I heard Derek Schultz from Pennsylvania. I think he'll be playing with them this summer. In the past, he's played on the Iska Grizzlies, and I think he played for did he play for Revision? I'm not sure, but he did. Every year he seems to pop on a pro team, and it looks like he finally found a home with Black Ice again. So it's good to see. He's a scrappy, hardworking player, and he's a gritty guy. He works his tail off. So
I like the way he plays. Shout out to our boy Jimmy Q, Dynamo Q18 Juice. On there. He's got his 42nd birthday coming up pretty soon. That GT better be at.
Got the invite.
Yeah.
Invite to his own surprise party.
Yeah, I got a few laughs at it. I thought that was a great line when I threw that back out. I did a surprise party back to him. So announced his own birthday. So yeah, shout out to Juice, one of my all-time favorite snipers. He's been around forever. Jimmy Cusius, part of our junior juggernaut team. Well, I should say junior
D1.
It was one of the best teams I've ever had for a long time in juniors. We were in D1. One of the top in the game, I think, at one time, and Jimmy Q was the heart and soul with that group. Famously known in one of the Narch photos from Minnesota in 2002 for breaking the glass on the main rink. And I know they had a lot of the magazines a post of him standing in front of the broken glass. So that was his claim to fame as a sniper for sure. So great guy, and shout out to Jimmy Juice Q.
Shout out Q.
And then, speaking of Black Ice, I know talking about the Rink Rat team, and when I talk about Rink Rat, I mean, a couple of years ago, champion Palma Pro Rink Rat, Dan Maxwell Rink Rat, that I think the Eisenhower brothers, I think, are playing with them. So Joel and Sammy, Joel goaltender and Sam Eisenhower, they played a lot of years with Black Ice. Joel had, obviously Chinny's the goalie, Black Ice. Joel's a very good goalie. It's hard to sit as a backup forever. I know he's played on some different teams over the years, so he'll be playing with Rink Rat. I think he played with them last year in pro. Mm-hmm. And his brother Sam, who's pretty good forward as well, pretty skilled guy. I'm sure on that Black Ice team, it's frustrating, being on a team where you're probably not getting in that top two line and you're not getting on the power play as much. You're a young guy on that team. They have so many studs on that team. So maybe Sammy looking for a team where he could be more of a top two line guy, which I don't blame him. So I heard he's playing with Rink Rat, so that'll help those guys out a bit.
Yeah, they always dabble with them like during the winter tournaments and stuff like that. And looks like they found a new home, together. I know last year Sammy played Black Ice and Joel played Rink Rat. So now, now they're together again with Rink Rat. And I guess Derek will be taking Sam Eisenhower's spot.
Okay. I know you brought up Brogan Rafferty's name one time. I know, his name had come up a couple times. Brogan had played for years, Illinois 95, and then he had found the home of Black Ice back in the day a little bit. And then he's had a tremendous career on the ice side. He was signed with the Vancouver Canucks and playing in the minors for them and whatnot. But I had heard some rumors that he was interested in playing this summer possibly. So I don't know, maybe you'll see him in a Black Ice jersey.
Yeah, it doesn't look like, obviously the AHL isn't playing this year. And do the Canucks have a playoff spot? I'm not sure. I don't know if he'd be a Black Ace or an extra skater. Yeah. So, so looks like maybe his schedule's open. So it'd be cool to see him again at State Wars. It's been a couple of years.
Yeah. Great family. Love his dad, Brian, and the whole family there. I know Dan Maxwell had mentioned a couple of Mayhew and a couple of those players that they've had on the team in the past that were some pretty good players for Rink that they couldn't play last year. With this whole ice, with ice hockey being pushed back and whatnot and seasons canceled and whatnot, a lot of guys, I think schedules are opened a little bit more. So you might see some more of those guys playing. So I would expect Rink Rat to have a couple of their guys back, and then obviously you have, the Joaquins of the world on that team and, some other good players. So I think Rink Rat is not a team you could discount. They know how to play the game. And at Winter Wars West this year, they've had a pretty depleted team playing against a stacked Palma team. And granted, that rink's a little small there. I think it was helped Rink Rat. But they game a game. It came down to the wire, if you remember, Greg. So, the Rink Rat team knows how to play. And I wouldn't count them out for sure for Palma Pro.
Yeah, they'll be in the mix. Love the game. Love Mayhew's game. The kid's phenomenal. I think he's a stud. So he'll help tremendously.
Stegan's a great player too. I like Verstegen.
Oh yeah, I mean that's obvious too. He's been on the team last couple of years as well. But yeah, if Mayhew comes back, that'd be great for them. And if they get a little younger, maybe get some of those younger Skittles kids involved. I think that'd be the best way to go. There's a lot of good talent out in California, so I'm sure they'll be fine. So
yeah, no, for sure. So I expect things out of them, and then we also got the Connex team, Connex Pure. So, maybe Kevin Dwyer from Roll of Dad News, if he's listening, can maybe chime in with something with those guys. But I've heard some rumors there as well. With the Border Cats not playing, I think some of those guys, maybe a Cal Kafuk or a Hunter Tillotson and some of those younger guys that they're friendly with Connex might be jumping on board. I think someone might be
Wow.
playing with them at Tours. So I would assume State Wars as well. I'm not sure if Tours is a tryout. Not that you need to have a tryout for Hunter or Cal. We know what those young guys bring to the equation. Cal. Kyle Kramer mentioned the other day is one of his favorite players to watch in the pro division right now. He missed last year because of college ice hockey situation, but all-time great 2000 player from Michigan for State Wars, and probably the big reason why they knocked us out in the quarterfinals a few years ago. Just had a phenomenal game against us, scoring 2 goals on Redmond. So where those guys bounce onto, they have a couple Canadians on the Border Cats too, guys like Baumgartner and Glover and Soper that want to play. And again, it's going to come down to, can they get in the country?
Yeah.
I think a good thing for individual players like that is if the border opens up and there's 10 days before and they're a real good player, they could probably still get on a team. One guy, a whole team getting the tournament's not going to happen. But, some of those Border Cat guys are going to maybe make some of these other rosters. And if Connex is grabbing some of those guys to an already pretty good top half of a team, I would say Connex, maybe they needed to improve the second half of their team.
Mm-hmm.
And we know they got the great goaltending in Dwyer, and I can see Nick Boyarski, working the magic behind the scenes a little bit to get some of those Michigan guys playing.
Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense. Hunter Tillotson, I know he's a Connex guy. He wears Connex wheels, and Glover, he always plays with Connex when Border Cats aren't playing. So they definitely have a little, they definitely communicate. So I could see that definitely happening. And then getting Cal on board, I'm sure is pretty easy. I'm sure they wouldn't say no. So yeah, that's a good mix there. I'm curious to see what our boy, Travis Bokina is going to do this summer too. I think he'll probably end up going to tours maybe with Palma like he did last year. Yeah, I could see that. I know Lemke and a couple of those guys, Border Cat guys, played with Palma last year. So
I could see Palma though having their regular team at tours. I don't know, so we'll see.
Yeah, maybe we'll see.
Last year they were missing some guys, that's why they had to pick up some guys.
Yep.
But yeah, maybe, and I think good point there. I wonder if I was going to tell Travis Bokina maybe talk to Joe Cook. If they're looking for another body on that team, he's played with some of those guys before, and he's been a great leader with that group.
Yeah.
And
He's
just a reliable player. I think some of these teams that need a guy, I think Travis Bokina is a guy that if we were short a guy, he'd be a guy I'd be looking at for sure to add leadership, and he can play some D now actually, and just a smart, steady player who may not be a top 2 line guy right now, but definitely could be a good second half of your second line and third line guy for sure.
Yeah, he would disagree with you on that one, but but yeah, also I got a message from Nick Smolinski too from Michigan. He's a good player looking for a team as well. So any teams out there who are looking for a good little player, good forward, who works his tail off is Nick Smolinski. So give him a shout as well.
Yeah, and I'm constantly seeing him putting up videos of him bench pressing, 20-pound dumbbells in his garage or wherever he's over. He's got these videos. He's got like a video production group that follows him around working out every day. So no, good guy, Nick Smolinski, good little player as well. Got some speed. I'm sure he's one of those guys probably skating every day on an outdoor rink or whatnot, or maybe he's got a key to Dumars or something. So if team's looking out for a guy, I think Nick Smolinski, I could definitely see him on a roster as well for sure. Especially some of these newer teams, one of these rink rat teams or Grizzlies or someone needing a guy. There's definitely some good players out there. And that's what I like about the 11 teams. There's some loose players. I actually it was funny. I was talking yesterday, driving to the beach with my kids, and phone rings, number I didn't recognize. I answer it, and it was Josafat from the Beta Shakers calling from Switzerland. So my kids got a kick out of that conversation listening. But he had just said that, some of the guys just can't get over with the border. They're dying to come. They were going to bring a lot of the guys from the Czech national team this year. So I was really expecting high things from the Shakers. But he was just basically begging me on the phone to make sure that we hold a spot for them in 2021, because I had promised them a spot this year, and they don't want to get, taken off the list because they couldn't come this year. So I let them know that they're not being regulated or anything. They'll be back in 2021. We'll have the Shakers on board. So I'm pretty excited to hopefully see a lot of those Czech guys and some of these other Europeans they bring out next year, because I was expecting big things from that team this year.
Yeah, that would have been awesome to see them this year with the Czech guys. Obviously last year they got their feet wet with State Wars and Palma Pro. They had some real good players and talent. They got better and better each game. but I think with a couple additions to that team, they could definitely make a huge splash in the division and definitely be a gold medal contender. So be awesome to see them bulk up, and hopefully we'll see them next year with a strong team.
Yeah, and lastly, the Alkali Iska Grizzlies, Andrew Otto, however you want to say it, tomato. I say Otto. Even if he tells me his name is Otto, I say Otto. So to me, it's Otto.
Me too.
Or Zuccarella. He's got his group with Dennis Jelsic with the Grizzlies, Alkali Iska Grizzlies. So I'm not sure exactly. I know they've sent us some rosters and whatnot. There's always some changes or whatnot with that team, but I'm hoping someone like Remy Parker could come back and play with them this year. I know they missed him last year. He had signed a D1 college ice scholarship. I forget where he was going to play. Maine. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Good roller player. And obviously I'm sure he's getting better and better. So if they could have a guy like that come back, could be a big help for the Grizzlies. But, they did pretty good last year for their first year in. Like you said, they beat Connex in a game, which I'm sure Connex is tired of me mentioning, but they did okay for themselves that first year out. I know no one loves this more than Otto. So I know he's listening right now, and if he's not, he will be at some point today. So shout out to Otto and all he does out in New Jersey with Dennis Jelsic. So if Dennis is not listening right now, he's posted on Facebook. He's either doing one of the other two things right now. So that makes up Dennis's day.
Yeah, I was busting his chops the other day about his Ranger posts. It's funny, we get even in our group chats. 26 years ago the Rangers won the Stanley Cup.
Who gives a fuck?
I don't care. It was 26 years ago. All right, like get over it. And I hate to say it too. Obviously I love the United States and stuff like that, and USA Hockey, but
the 80 Olympic.
I get sick and tired of seeing that post. 33 years ago to this. Guys, listen, it was so long ago. Win another one. Just
all that means to me is you haven't done shit in a long time.
I agree.
Yeah, so they got the one team we failed to mention here, going over some changes about Tor Mudcats.
Yeah.
So I don't know how I left them out. So yeah, Tor Mudcats. I guess the biggest question with Tor Mudcats is going to be Brett Leggett. With this border situation.
Oh yeah.
So I'm sure he's the guy that 2 days before the borders open, hey Chad, I can come now. All right, let's go, Brett.
Oh yeah.
So I'm sure he's got his bag packed and hoping that by, we start on the 31st. I think they pushed the thing back to maybe July 20th or whatnot. So I'm sure he's hoping that thing opens up and Brett Leggett could be there. I know they've used other goalies in the past and whatnot, but it's impossible to replace a Brett Leggett. So that would be a big part of the Tor Mudcats for sure. Would be him.
Yeah, he plays obviously a huge role to the Mudcats team. He's the backbone of the team, and he's been for years. So, yeah, no Brett Leggett would definitely hurt the Mudcats tremendously. So they definitely need him to get over the border. Getting into the Mudcats, who knows what's going to happen with them? I mean, is Taylor Kane still retired? Is Skylar Hoare, what's going on with him? Is he not making the trip this year?
Yeah, no. They're always looking to get a little younger. I know CJ, had talked about that. Some of these younger guys, last year they brought in some younger guys, like Frank from Nebraska, and I know they brought in some players from Kansas before to play. Some of these young ice guys,
Galtz, yep,
yeah, Galtz. So those kind of players, maybe they're looking to go that route a little bit. There's some good young Colorado guys out there as well.
Yeah, yep.
So we'll see what they pull out of their sleeve with stuff. But Mudcats are another team you never could count out. They got so many veterans and good players, and they got a pretty good niche in Missouri with the Lindenwood guys through Ronnie B, if he's helping out or not with the team. And then that Cali group with Skylar and them, and then the Colorado group with CJ.
Yeah.
So they got some pulses, in different areas and whatnot. So I would assume that those guys will come back with they were in the mix last year. So I always look at them as a playoff team.
Yeah. You got the Crypt Keeper. Obviously he could still play the game. CJ and Lauren Barron and, a bunch of those guys who could still light the lamp. So, yeah, like I said before, the big difference maker is going to be Brett Leggett.
100%. So that's the Promo Pro there. So, things are going to be pretty exciting, for that division, obviously. July 31st, August 2nd. Teams will play 2 games Friday, 2 Saturday, and on Sunday, quarter, semis, and finals. And pretty excited to announce, a sponsor with the Pro Division this year is going to be Car Shield. They're getting involved, Car Shield, with our Palma Pro Division, and they're going to help out with the broadcasting. We're going to have our Car Shield TV going on during the Pro. And like we've talked about, doing some extra broadcasting during the Pro Division, and they will be, our main sponsor during the Pro Division for the broadcasting. And when Trefty and George Brown are on the mic talking about the Pro Division, we'll be showing some Car Show commercials and whatnot, and pretty excited to have them on board as a sponsor, helping out with the broadcasting of the Pro Division. Car Shield's done so much for the sport, and even with the NHL. So we thank Nick Hamilton and the crew from Car Shield for getting involved with State Wars with that. So that'll be real exciting once the Pro Division starts. I think it's still muted, Greg, just so you know. Think you muted yourself, Greg? When your wife was yelling at you or whatever?
I shut the air off last night. It was getting a little chilly, so I forgot to turn it back on today. Had to open some windows. But yeah, Car Shield's been all over the map now. You turn the TV on, you see Car Shield all over the place. So, it's awesome to see them, so involved in the sport. Like you mentioned, Nick Hamilton before, he's another guy. He just wants to see the game go to the next level. And, it's awesome. It's awesome to see. And a lot of, it's cool because a lot of the people that work at Car Shield are all hockey guys. A lot of inline guys, roller hockey guys. Mm-hmm. So they love the sport over there at Car Shield, and just getting them to help out a little more in the sport. It's so cool to see. I know they helped out with Team USA last summer. Donated some money towards Team USA. So, they just want good things to happen in the sport, and they're always behind it. So it's so cool to see them step in a little more this year.
And they're big at State Wars too with the older divisions. Their senior AA team will be a team to watch every year. Their platinum team. So their Car Shield team there, and then their 35 and over and 45 and over teams, are always top of the list. So Car Shield doing great things. Greg, you jumped the gun a little bit there on a sponsor that I'll mention now, something I'm real excited about. So, State Wars is proud to announce a partnership with Stillmat, which is a flooring company out of the Czech Republic, which is known worldwide as the top floor in the sport. If you talk to many of the players on Team USA or Team Czech or any of the Team Canada, the main teams, they'll talk to you about Stillmat, because Stillmat has been the official floor for the World Championships for many years. And we skated on it last year in Barcelona, and the players just loved it. So we worked out a sponsorship partnership agreement with Stillmat that I'm excited to announce, and they're going to be sending us a brand new floor, which will be coming in for State Wars this year in Fort Wayne, and it's going to be our main rink, and that's going to be where our pro games are going to be played on that rink. So we're going to have out of the box, never used before, a pro floor, brand new for the Pro Division and other divisions to start out at State Wars this year. So we thank Stillmat, and we're really excited to be working with those guys, and hopefully eventually maybe all our floors will be Stillmat. But right now, it's going to be pretty exciting this year to have a great floor. You have that picture of the floor, Greg, that I sent you?
I can pull it up. Just give me a minute or two. But yeah, no, I've skated on that floor many a times over the years. It's always a nice floor, especially, who doesn't like a brand new floor, crisp floor. So it's great to see them stepping in and trying to get some exposure over here in the United States. But yeah, everyone you talk to, guys who played overseas, they always talk so highly about the floor. So pretty cool to see.
Yeah, Anthony Merrigan, who played for Team USA a few years ago and is a big part of the Rink Rat Liberty team, just commented here, the best floor hands down. So yeah, I mean, I only got to skate on it for that one practice we had, Greg, with you. Our other practice we did on that outdoor rink, which was different, but the games were played on the Stillmat, and we got to skate on it that one. And I just love the look of it. It's just, I don't know if the tiles are a little bigger with it as well. I think they might have a little bit slightly bigger tile than we normally use. And
yeah, it's roughly the same.
Yeah, I think it's slightly bigger. And talking to Rob Chernomid, I guess the Masters guys have skated on it and whatnot overseas. And, as a wheel guy who tests floors all the time, he thought it was the best floor he's ever skated on as well, as far as the grip and tightness of it or whatever. And there's a good shot there from, I think that's the Deck Hockey World Championships.
Yeah,
That went on
2015, I think it was. Yeah, I
Yes,
think that might be Switzerland. I'm not positive, but maybe even check. But yeah, that's the floor right there.
it says on the
Pretty
scoreboard,
cool.
Switzerland's on one end for sure. You can,
Oh, okay, so
can't see the other
yeah.
team, but yeah. Yeah, so
Yeah,
that's the floor. That's kind of what the look of it will be. So we're real excited to have that come in. And, the floors, when we have floors and they go from Norwich and towards the State Wars, they get mixed up and you see how the floors look. It's fine. It doesn't matter the look of it, but I just always hate how the floors look a little discolored in spots and it looks like mixed and matched and marked up and whatever. And obviously floors get dirty and worn down. This one is going to be, like we said, brand new out of the box. And it'll be a floor that just be used at State Wars. It's our floor. So it'll be boxed up after State Wars and won't be touched again until State Wars next year. So it'll be kept in great shape and just real excited for them to be not only a partner of State Wars, but of the Palma Pro Invitational. And the head guy at Stillmat made a comment to me, which made me excited. He said he talked to a couple of the Czech players who came to State Wars last year to play with the Shakers and said that the other guys are excited to get there eventually. And that they said that State Wars was the biggest, best, and most organized hockey tournament they've ever seen. So that was pretty cool coming from guys from the Czech.
Yeah, so cool. So cool. Yeah, and so guys, if you guys are interested in a new floor, let us know. We could point you in the right direction. If you want to wait to skate on the floor at State Wars and then maybe buy some rink tiles for your rink after State Wars, let us know. We'll point you in the right direction. It's a good floor, and I'm sure you'll get a pretty good price on it as well. So, all good stuff. I'm real excited for the new floor. And I know a lot of the kids and players all across the State Wars board will love it. So good stuff.
I know someone will ask about the puck. We're not using the Stillmat puck this year. It'll be just a Stillmat floor. We're still using the Rocket puck.
Yep.
I know people had mentioned that puck. We're not going to throw a different puck out at anybody last second. So, but it'll be the floor, and it's not much different than obviously what you've skated on normally at State Wars on floors, except just a little bit better, a little more tighter, a little bit grippy, and obviously brand new always helps, right? So, not too many guys get to skate on a brand new floor. Most, you look at a rink like Rapid Fire, the rink might be older than me. So, we're not used to skating on new floors too often. So that's pretty exciting. So excited for that. Let's talk a little about the women's division a little bit, Greg. I know we spent a lot of time talking about the Palma Pro. Let's do our due diligence here and talk about the ladies at State Wars.
Yeah, totally. So, obviously we touched on it an episode or two ago about the girls division. Last year we were able to have a girls division at State Wars. And actually years ago, we used to have it every year as well. But honestly, there's just not a lot of girls teams looking to play. If we had a handful of teams looking to come to State Wars, then we'd have the division. Last year, the only reason why the division got off the ground was because we had some international teams come in to help round out the divisions. But, we just haven't had, the registrations for girls over the last year to have the division. So that's why we're not having a girls division, guys. It's unfortunate. Obviously, we want to see the division grow and the sport grow, both boys and girls. But hopefully next year we could have it.
Just jump in there, Greg. I
yeah.
mean, the unfortunate part with the girls division is you kind of need to start out being in a state that's going to have some support locally with that to begin with. So if we were in Michigan, we would have had a girls division. Next year in Missouri, we'll have a girls division. In Indiana, where there's no, we barely get any teams really from there, which kind of stinks. We go to Indiana because it's a good spot to get to and the rink's awesome. We're definitely not going there for the team totals. Give you a little example. We may have had 4 or 5, maybe 5 teams from Indiana in the whole tournament last year out of 296 teams. Where in Michigan, Missouri, we could have 50 or 60 local teams playing. So it's a big difference. So that being said, girls is just, it was a 4 or 5 team division last year, and 2 of them were international teams that, like we said, aren't playing this year. So, and then unfortunately too, just like we're hoping to do a 55 and over this year, and I pulled the plug on that because same reason, we just don't have as much room as we normally have in the tournament this year. We're only using 2 rinks in Fort Wayne, unfortunately. They're keeping the ice up on 1 sheet, which, we had to accept because they're doing us a favor moving the tournament there last minute, and they have to do some things with their ice customers as well.
Yeah.
So we're already limited on space. So certain divisions we had to just pull the plug on. And we're, like I said, we're almost sold out already in this tournament.
Yeah, exactly. And going back to the girls thing, throughout the course of the year, the beginning of the year, we have our tryouts. So we do see a lot of girls at tryouts, trying out for the boys teams. While we're at tryouts, we always ask, hey, would your daughter be interested in playing in the girls division? This year, unfortunately, we didn't see a lot of the girls, at tryouts because of obviously coronavirus. So we didn't really have a handle on the division this year and individual girls who were looking to play. So that was another huge reason too.
It's funny. I always feel awkward. We're at a tryout and there's a pretty good girl player. And we mentioned the girls division. I feel like the parent gets mad at me for it. Like, I think one time a parent accused me of being male chauvinist or something because I mentioned the girls division. And then I had to remind them, which is always my saving grace, is that I have 3 daughters, So, it's just more of letting them know that, hey, this division's out there. So we've tried to get it growing. And I think we will again, like we said, last year we had an Namibia Africa team. We had a team from France, which hopefully both be back next year. So it's just this year just didn't work out. But let's talk about the women's division because, the women's division is always good at State Wars. Last year we had internationally, we had some teams play as well from France. We had a team last year, and this year so far, and the division will still hopefully grow. We've heard from the Tour Roadrunners, we've heard from the Palm Beta Golden Knights, Rink Rat Republic, who won it last year, Team Careless from Michigan, and I know we've heard from another one of the Missouri teams. So I'm assuming it'll probably be about a 6-team division this year, but all pretty good teams. And it'll be pretty competitive, most importantly. So we're excited for the women's division as well.
Yeah, some high-end teams there, and obviously I think that division is open to anyone to win. There's some talent across the board there, so I definitely wouldn't pick one team in particular. Obviously, Rink Rat Republic kind of, they have the belt per se, but they've been very good the last couple of years. But Palma's had a weaker team for our event. I know last year they were missing some girls and stuff like that. Roadrunners are always good in Team Careless. They won a couple years ago as well. Yeah. So there's some real good talent in that division, and it's open. It's open to anyone to win.
The senior AA division is a division that, last year we only had 6 teams in it. So this year when I was planning the block schedule, which is the toughest part for me, I have to basically guess what I think we're going to have in every division. I said, all right, we'll probably have 6 again, and I think we have 10 or 11 teams signed up already for it. So it's going to be a 10 to 12 team division. We have to have an even number.
Yeah.
And, teams that we've heard from and have registered so far, we have the Colorado group, which some of those Roller Dad News guys and the Mar Brothers and whatnot, they're going to have a good team. The Floss and Sauce Wisconsin group, which is flip-flop between AA and A over the years. I know Dylan Dale usually plays them, who tore it up last year in Senior A for them. I think they're bringing back some of their ice guys to play in AA. Mark Hager's Average Joe's group from Missouri, the Car Shield team, PJ Tallow and company. They're always a tough group, and they'll grab a pretty good pro player. AA teams are allowed to have 1 pro player, so they'll grab some stud, I'm sure, to play with them from the pro division.
Yeah.
Nick Okada from Ohio always has a good team. The Roller Ducks group, they did pretty well last year in it, and you can never count them out. They're in it. The Mud Snakes from Missouri, I know we mentioned maybe they grab a Garsh this year, and who knows who else plays them. They'll have a pro player. Usually Sean Sullivan, Phil Maroon, George Collins. They put together usually a pretty good group at that team, and they love it. Rink Rat Hottest Fire from Pennsylvania is registered. Palm Beta Golden Knights from California is registered. They're always a favorite, obviously. We have a team, the New York Supreme, coming out, which might be some of the Roadrunner guys or whatnot. And the Coasters from Connecticut, Jeff R. Scott. has put together a pretty good group of some good ice guys that play some roller out there as well. And I know we heard from my buddy Scott Ives from Jersey about possibly the Lebeda Devils team, which at Winter Wars and at the fall tournament has been pretty impressive. So that's going to be a pretty tough division, Greg. I mean, there's some teams there that maybe could compete for the bottom half of the pro division.
Yeah, like always, Palma's always up there. They've been winning the last couple of years. So, I'm sure they're the favorites this year. But, there's a lot of good talent. That Average Joe's team, they might have some sneaky players from Missouri. Missouri's a hotbed for roller hockey, so I'm sure they'll have a pretty good team. And Rink Red Hot as Fire, they're always in the mix. They have a great group of players there. I'm interested to see how good the Connecticut team is.
Yeah.
I know they have a lot of D1 ice hockey players playing this year. That team's going to be pretty damn good too. So there's a good mix of talent in that division, and I'm not sure who's going to win that one. That one's pretty open as well. So
yeah, then moving into our senior AB division, we already have 27 teams paid and registered for that division, and it's a big division every year. I planned on 30 teams with that, but because of the AA growing, we may get one more. I may close it out at 28. I may not be able to fit anymore, so it might be the next team. It'll be the last team to get into the senior A division. I know Tim O'Leary had mentioned on here that he's trying to get one together last minute. So we're just trying to make it work. I mentioned last week that Coliseum Arena near the rink around the block for a third sheet. And I'm still trying to talk to them about maybe even getting it for the last weekend to open up some time. And that would help a lot.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Can't count on that right now. So right now we may be going around the clock. We may be having senior games going until 3 a.m. on some nights during that last weekend. So it's going to be a crazy weekend for the adults, but a fun one for sure.
Yeah, at this point, I think everyone just wants to play and get out of the house and go to some normalcy. So I'm sure a late game or two probably wouldn't hurt, and teams wouldn't be too upset about it. They're just probably going to be happy to be there. So, same with us, right? Like, the staff, I'm sitting a couple weeks ago during Memorial Day, usually we're down south, at our Southeast Wars event, and I'm texting, Brian Richford, our good friend and your brother-in-law and one of the best employees out there, so me and him usually go down there and work the Southeast Wars event. And I'm sitting here in the house during quarantine. I'm like, damn, like I really wish I was at Southeast Wars this weekend, in the heat. At the time, you just take it for granted.
Oh yeah.
So, I wouldn't mind a couple Florida parents screaming at me.
Right.
Instead of being stuck home. So, I think teams are going to be just itching to play, dying to play, and they'll be happy with anything at this point.
Yeah, and I'm sure a lot of wives and girlfriends are saying, please go, get out of the house for a weekend. I need a break.
Here's our extra 100 for the bar. Just get out of here.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to playing as well, and 45 and over, and just sitting at the bar with the boys and just having a couple cold ones and just joking around and laughing it up. I miss that for sure.
Yeah.
Guys like us that, if you used to playing hockey a couple nights a week with your buddies, definitely missing that for sure. So it's been a big void that needs to be filled. So definitely excited for State Wars, for obviously on the business side, not working all year has been rough, but just personally to be away and around the people and the hockey and playing, and they got the great sports bar upstairs at Fort Wayne that they'll be able to. Luckily, it's a real narrow bar. They'll be able to do some social distancing in there as well, and still be able to hang out a bit and be around who you want to be close to. You are, and who you don't. Alvin Durden just wrote in, and Rhode Island will be there. They'll be there with our single A division. So we love seeing those guys back with the Horse Marines. And one important thing I want to just mention, and I've sent this to a couple of emails, and this may come across a little coarse, but it doesn't mean to be. But, we've had a couple people, mainly like a mom or two, email and just ask a lot of questions about the tournament. And of course, concerns or the virus or this and that. And we all have different opinions on the virus and the close down and opening things up and wearing a mask and not wearing it. I think everyone's got an opinion. And if you go on Facebook, everyone's a doctor now. Everyone's a scientist. Everyone's a political expert. Everyone, knows everything. So I'm not going to pretend to be an expert on anything because I'm not. But we all have different opinions on how it's going to go. All I could promise everyone is we're doing our due diligence. we've been talking to our city groups that we deal with, who in turn are direct contact with the health officials. Things are going very well in that state. There obviously are going to be a lot of things that we'll be doing differently this year, which are, to be totally transparent, costing us a lot more money to do, with, locker rooms being sanitized after every game, and other things going on in the building, just to keep things safer and cleaner for everyone. We don't have all the parameters yet of what's going to be required of us, because, here we are, what's today, June 17th, we don't start till July 31st. So a lot's going to change, hopefully for the better, between now and July 31st. So there's no reason to get into specifics when next week it's going to change, let alone 6 weeks from now. So, and of course, there'll be some things we're going to have to do, differently with crowds and whatnot, but the building's very large and there's a lot of places spread out, and I'm sure there'll be people there helping out, moving people around, and maybe people want to sit in the stands. Maybe this group sit up here and move someone somewhere else and just kind of do their thing, But most importantly, I think the biggest thing that I want to get across is, if anyone is uncomfortable of coming or afraid to come or whatever, that's your business. And I'm not going to try to convince you otherwise. Just don't come.
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't want someone coming who's going to be yelling at us about something or upset about something. We're going to do our best. Obviously, we need to count on everyone doing the right thing. I think this will be the year that, you might not be kissing everyone on the lips that you meet and see. But I do foresee a lot of normal going on, and you'll be around people you feel comfortable being around. And if you're not comfortable being around other people, you don't go near them, and if you're someone that wants to wear a mask alone in the car by yourself when you drive, and you're that guy, that's fine. I don't do that, but that's up to you. So, that's kind of what, I want message I want to get across to people. We're doing everything we can to be safe. I feel really good about it. The state feels really good about it. The rink feels really good about it. They've already opened up their rinks for their business. So it's going to be a good thing for us. By that point, I think the restaurants and bars and everything in the area are going to be open 100% capacity at that point. It looks like July 4th, their state is in their final phase. And phase 4 opened a week earlier for them. They moved it up a week, which is a good sign. Yeah. So their last phase is supposed to start July 4th. Don't start till a month later, almost. So things should be in pretty good shape when we get there. But again, if you're sick, you don't come. Wash your hands. All these things we talk about. Don't sneeze in someone's face. Things that we probably should be doing all along. And I think the good thing that comes out of this is cleaning the locker rooms more, cleaning the areas around the rink, and being more cognizant of germs and whatnot. Is probably a good thing that we've all should have been doing all along anyway. But it just now is in our face more to do that. Yep. And, with locker rooms, we're probably going to have to get in and out quicker. I would imagine the showers being shut off and teams get in and out. Games won't start early this year. We're going to start them right on time. So you don't have to be at the rink 2 hours early if you don't want to be. You can get there half hour before your game, get in the locker room, get on the rink, play your game, come off. And there's no reason to be in the locker room for more than 10 minutes after your game. Get out so we can get it sanitized by a crew to come in there to get ready for the next group to come in after you guys. And just everyone doing our part and just, taking care of one another. As far as sponsors go, I don't think booths will be set up the old-fashioned way this year. 2 reasons. One, that whole sponsor row we've normally had in Fort Wayne, that rink is going to be the one the ice hockey is going on. So we're not going to have that third rink on that end. So there's really not a lot of room for them to set up to begin with. Yeah. We had talked about maybe some outdoor booths, which I thought would be really cool set up out in the fresh air outside, maybe a certain amount of hours every day. So we'll see what's going to happen there. But most of the sponsors just most want to have their stuff in the pro shop for sale and whatnot. And I know the pro shop, again, will be carrying all the wheels and whatnot there. We'll be there with our group, obviously, and we'll have people filming video and photos and whatnot. And when, we worked out a deal yesterday with a good buddy of ours from Long Island, Nick Pernito, who's got a video company. So Greg, why don't you mention him for a little bit and what we're going to bring to the equation this year with Nick?
Yeah, so Nick, Nick's been around the game for a long time. Tim actually coached him when he was younger, and I grew up playing with him. He's a couple of years younger than me, but we've known each other for a long time, and he does some great things with his camera work, and he's been around for a long time doing a lot of different things with his crew. So this year, Nick's going to come out, and unfortunately World Inline Hockey isn't coming out this year. So Nick's going to kind of take charge and do some highlights each day. And I know he's going to maybe change some things up and maybe do some more interviews, and maybe do some more, locker room stuff and do some cool stuff, add to the equation. So be awesome to have him as well, joining the staff. The World Inline Hockey guys are from France. And, obviously I think they were kind of slowing down this year, but, they're definitely not coming now. So Nick's going to be a great replacement for them. So it's exciting, and it's going to be awesome to see some cool different, camera work too. So pretty cool.
100%. Yeah, he had told me before, expect ESPN quality highlights is his quote to me yesterday. So
Cool.
I'm going to hold him to that. So
That's great.
hopefully we're going to see that for us. So we're real excited for that. And, and I'm going to bring up finally, hotels with State Wars. Every year we work with a housing bureau, as you guys know. Usually it was PSE. PSE is now defunct. They're not even in business anymore with all the things going on in the world. They just couldn't handle their business anymore. They were owned by a larger group, Legacy Sports, which just went out of business. So we started to work with this new group now, Team Travel Source, and they're a great group to work with. They've never done hockey before. They've done they do USA Volleyball and a lot of big companies, but Tours is working with them and we're working with them. They're amazing. It seems like it's a female run company, which is awesome because, being married and having 3 daughters, I see how women are just so organized and on top of stuff, how they run the household here and stuff. In my house, I have 4 different wives, and I can just see it with them. Their attention to detail and how on top of stuff they are is just pretty impressive. So I'm excited to be working with them. But, we do have host hotels, and it is a state of play tournament. And what that means is teams are required to book through the housing bureau to play in the tournament. And I know some look at that, just because it costs more money and whatnot. That's not true. The reason we have it, we negotiate the lowest published rate of that hotel in the area during those dates will be through our system. Yes, of course, you could find some cheap hotel that's not a host hotel around the block, maybe, or 8 miles away, a Red Roof Inn or some dump or whatever. But this year more than ever, it's so important that everyone follows our rules and our parameters. You always should, but this year more than ever, whether we're going to be at the rink with the hotels or whatnot, because of everything going on, the last thing we want is for this tournament to get shut down by someone because people were not acting appropriately or whatnot. So the host hotels are part of that. These host hotels that we have all been checked out by our groups. They're the properties we want you staying in. They're the ones that are doing the right things for the tournament. And quite honestly, these are the hotels, they donate some funds to the tournament that allow us to bring an event of this size to a city like this and to an arena like that, because these arenas are not easy to get, and it's just part of the big picture. So teams are required to stay in the host hotels. So later today, I should be able to release the link of those host hotels. And what's pretty cool is downtown, the Hilton and the Courtyard Marriott, which are 2 properties our staff has stayed at, and off the record to me are the 2 nicest properties I like in the area. They're giving us like 100 rooms a night for each property for the whole tournament. So tons of teams can stay in those 2 main properties. And then we have the Hampton Inn, which just opened up, which is next to the Marriott. Those are right near the baseball stadium there. And some other, there's a Hyatt right over there. And to me, I know there's a hotel in the rink parking lot that they give us like 10 rooms every year to use, and it's almost impossible to get into. That hotel there, honestly, does not support the tournament at all, and they just want to take advantage and just get rooms booked, so we don't even work with them. So teams will not be allowed to stay there unless they get the few rooms that we have in that block. But downtown is where you want to be anyway, to be honest. You're 15 minutes from the rink, and then you're around all the restaurants, bars. I'm not sure what's going to be going with the baseball stadium at that point, but everything's right in that area there. If you're at the rink hotel, there's nothing to do there except be at the rink. So to be 10, 15 minutes away and to be around everything else, to be able to walk around town, I know for the men's teams and whatnot especially, it's perfect. I know our staff loves it, Greg, being downtown.
Yeah, it's so convenient to all the restaurants, and you can always, grab a drink on the way, and there's some cool little outdoor seating type restaurants around the baseball stadium. And, we found some other restaurants that we've never even, saw until last year.
Yeah.
So There's some good
brewery one we went to was great. Remember that?
Yeah,
place?
we went there a couple times. That was cool. Great food was awesome, and there was another place where we ate at the last night as well. Can't think of the name off the top of my head, but yeah, there's some great restaurants and attractions down there and stuff like that. So definitely recommend staying downtown if you can. And just a good scene down there. It's lively.
And unfortunately, we have a fine built in. It's $400 fine if a home team books outside the block somewhere else to play in the tournament, which is the last thing we want to do. But that's just the agreement we have with the city again to bring the tournament here. So teams need to stay in the hotels through the bureau system. I'll send that link out today. If you have any questions or concerns, email me directly about it. But honestly, if a team just doesn't want to stay there, we could just take them out of the tournament and replace them with someone else, because we will have a waiting list for this tournament this year for sure. Because like I said, we're already filling up. So we do need teams to follow the proper parameters and guidelines we set forth for this tournament. We'll also be sending out a link soon for teams once they register for their RHA insurance, the guys that need to get the weekend warrior and whatnot, which is important. Instead of having to come up to the office and have huge groups in the office all over each other and handing in money and whatnot, we'll send each captain out a link that you could send to your players. They'll be able to log in, choose their team on a list, and then just sign the waiver on there and pay their RHA fee on there as well. And that could all be done before the tournament. And this way, no one has to even worry about it there. And again, we don't have to worry about a crowd of people waiting online to get into an office to just sign a form, which you captains definitely appreciate when we do it that way. We did it last year as well. Just life a lot easier. But that's that with that. And let's bring up some birthdays, Greg. Every year we bring up birthdays. So birthdays today, we got Jim West, our Team NorCal state director. Happy birthday to Jim today. We got Ron Tracy, old-time Team USA player from Delaware, good buddy of ours. Haven't seen him in a long, long time. A great guy. It's his birthday today. Jeff Deutschman, who used to be one of our coaches from Colorado. If you remember Jeff from back in the day, Greg, he played 35s and stuff too.
Great guy.
Yeah, good guy. It's his birthday today as well. And yesterday I saw it was Kevin Iadarolas.
Catfish.
Long Island player, pilot. I think it's Jay Muro's assistant to the assistant, right?
Yep. He's his dog sitter too.
Yeah.
I know that much. So.
His birthday was yesterday. Coco, 57 years young yesterday. Coco from Team New York, 45 and over. Sting player. He was once a water boy for the Snipers. Great guy.
Yeah.
Hopefully his girlfriend bought him another gold chain today for his birthday. His birthday was yesterday. Sean German I saw, it was his birthday yesterday. Scary. I see he's 24 years old. I think I remember him when he was
in diapers.
6. So that makes me feel pretty old. And I see coming up birthdays tomorrow, Dave Inouye, another NorCal guy from us. The Quakes coach, Mike Inouye and Daniel Inouye's dad.
Yeah.
And that's pretty well. Let me look at the weekend here.
I got a couple as well, Tim.
Yeah, okay, go ahead.
Happy birthday shout out to my old line mate, Ian Mueller, from Lindenwood University.
Okay.
Little Ian E Weezy, we call him. And then we also, yesterday we had Jake Hill's birthday. He was an '89 Missouri player. Jeff Hill's little brother, Jason and Jeff Hill's little brother, Cobb, Jake Hill. And Jeremy Scott from Missouri as well. He's put in some teams in the past.
Yeah. A lot of Missouri birthdays.
Yeah, right. And a good friend of mine from Valladolid, Victoria, Dana Cuna. She's originally from the States, from Illinois. Her sons played for Illinois years ago. And Marcos, he played for Illinois back in the day. So it's her birthday. And Thursday, we also have Josh Laricchia's birthday and longtime Missouri player Dylan Timmy. So pretty good stuff there. Yeah, and a good buddy of mine, Mike Mizuraka from Missouri as well, longtime Blast player. So lots of birthdays.
You can tell that Greg's Facebook is filled with Missouri people.
Yeah.
All those Lindenwood years there.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Happy birthday, everybody there, whether it's today or the next few days on the weekend. The State Wars starting July 31st to August 10th, Fort Wayne, Indiana, back at the Sport One Ice House. So so excited to be going back there. It's honestly one of my favorite facilities, Greg.
Yeah.
I normally say I love having 3 rinks like that. We'll be using 2, so it'll be a little different for us, but real excited for that. We got all our referees booking and whatnot. We booked a flight for one of our referees from California the other day. It was $235 round trip to fly into Fort Wayne, not even to go to Indy, but to go into the Fort Wayne airport. So flights are so cheap right now. I saw some cheap flights from New York as well. A lot of times people don't fly into Fort Wayne because, well, one, you got to stop usually in Chicago or Detroit. Some places have some directs, but a lot stop there. So Indy has been a direct flight, but Indy's about an hour and 45 minutes away. If you fly into Fort Wayne, if you can, when I tell you it's the easiest and smallest airport you'll ever be in, I can't picture an airport being smaller than that, Greg.
Yeah.
I remember the one year we flew in, I think the pilot of the plane was the guy that handed me my luggage bag and handed me the keys to the rental car at the same time, and handed me a cookie when we left the terminal. It's so small. It's they're so friendly in there. There's always a big State Wars welcome sign in there on the screen when you land there. And honestly, you're 20 minutes from downtown, 15, 20 minutes, depending on, how fast you drive. So you're right there when you land. And when you go to your flight, you can get there like half hour before your flight and get on. I mean, there's literally no one in there.
Yeah.
Right. I think the funniest part when we first went there, I don't know if you remember this, but we landed and they had like a sign like arcade. And the arcade was like one video game and like this little small side thing. And it was like Pac-Man or Space Invaders or something that I hadn't seen, in 25 years or whatever. So it was so funny, but it's, this cute little airport, the rental car, you get right there, you go. And so if you could fly, if you could fly into Fort Wayne, I would definitely look at it. Price of flights right now are definitely really cheap.
Yeah. And if you're lucky, you might even get a cookie when you get off the plane like we did.
Yeah. 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 Oh, for sure.
Yeah. It's good airport, convenient, easy, and rental cars right there too. So it's always.
Matthew Noga mentioned here too that Eric Purcell looking for a pro team as well, Greg.
Oh yeah. Yep.
So there's another good player, from Illinois that is played with the Border Cats, I think, right?
Yeah.
So it's another player from the Border Cats. We've got a Border Cat fire sale going on right now. So get your Border Cats while they're hot, So players on that team definitely looking for teams. I would have thought maybe someone would have jumped on the rink rack guys with Hodge and those guys being in that area, but
yeah,
I don't know who's friends with who and whatnot, but definitely some good players out there, I would think, to grab on free agency for the pro division right now.
Yeah, I know, obviously we didn't touch on the the Masters divisions with teams, but those divisions are basically full as well. So if you're planning on entering a team, make sure you do it as soon as possible, guys.
Okay. And I just got an email right now from our friends over at Team Travel Source that we can get the link live for the hotel. So I'm going to put that live in a few minutes when we get off here. So you better go to the website, statewarshockey.com, to get that. And I'll also send an email out to all the teams that have registered and whatnot. But big reminder, though, for everyone that we've mentioned here today, until you officially register, and that means go online, pay, and register your team, you are not officially in. We've penciled in teams, but honestly, if someone pays, they're going to get in ahead of you. So this is definitely not a trick to make it like we're sold out, and we're not. We're definitely getting very full. And the last thing I want to do is turn away someone that plays every year in the tournament and just thinks they have time because we listed the July 1st deadline. The July 1st deadline is there, but things are going even better than I thought they would right away. I know teams are busy right now registering and paying for tours or Narch West, and that's coming first because it's earlier and you got to get your money together for that. Trust me, I get it. I know what it's like to collect money from guys, but we need to get teams paid. We can't just take you and hold a spot forever for someone without them being paid, and then you wind up not playing, and it's happened to us before. So unfortunately, we can't do that because we do have, Greg, we've had some teams signing up that we haven't had before. Like I know we were talking about youth teams before. We had a 2018 from New York, the College Point Stars, just signed up out of nowhere. A guy that had heard about it, from New York or whatever, and he put a group together there. And we had a team last night for 2003s. Team the Dogs from Pennsylvania, I think from Pittsburgh. Their coach had said they have a bunch of ice guys and whatnot. They had never played at State Wars before. So we are seeing groups like that, teams signing up, which is pretty awesome. And I know our buddies, I even saw the knuckleheads from Tennessee signed up the other day. So get some of our Tennessee teams coming back as well.
That's great. Yeah. We laugh about it all the time, during the year, during tryouts, people always ask, can we just bring our own team? Well, guys, this is the perfect year to do it. So
the only year to do it.
The only year to do it.
Yeah, on the youth side, for sure. But what's funny, Greg, about that, these youth people that say that, they're the ones now that are like, oh my God, this is such a pain in the ass. I wish you guys just had tryouts. Like, it's not as easy as people think. So
yeah, collecting money and getting everyone to commit. It's always tough. So
and then who you let play and who you don't. Like, it's easy when you run a team and there's a tryout to say, hey man, I'm sorry, your kid should have made it, but Tim and Greg are idiots. They didn't take them, and blame us. Now they got to be the ones to say, all right, you're in, you're out, you're in, and who you're pissing off and whose friends of yours, kid isn't that good or whatnot. So it puts everyone in a tight spot. So it's a lot easier when the State Wars guys are the bad guys.
Exactly. Good point.
So any other news going on, Greg?
No, finally got my hair cut. I was really excited about that.
Right.
A lot of people don't know, but I did shave my head in the beginning of quarantine, but it's grown back.
All right.
Looking fairly decent, for what I have left.
Yeah, you never know, right?
Talked about that. I don't know if you saw, I built some new shelves for the kitchen. Looking good right now. So yeah, just doing some little things. So pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, no, even here, we spent some time, gotten to go to the beach with the kids and stuff like that, which stuff I normally don't get to do this time of year. Usually we're swarmed and, not doing the uniforms. Saved a lot of work, we're busy, but nowhere near as busy as normal doing the uniform side of things and whatnot.
Yeah.
Now we've just been doing stuff like, getting medals ordered and, getting
meeting with teams and merchandise we're gonna get going here. And I know a big part of the year too, towards national time is getting the program together as well. Do you want to touch on that?
Yeah, I mean, normally we do a program that we sell for $5 at the rink there and whatnot. This year, because I know it's going to be harder getting everyone's rosters in really early. Normally we have that program made a month early, and the schedule is going to be made a little bit later than normal. Normally by July 4th, the schedule is made, but this year with the July 1 deadline, I'm not imagining the schedule to come out till maybe the July 10th to 14th timeframe or something like that. Probably 2 weeks plus before the tournament, I would imagine.
Yeah.
So it's going to be difficult to get it printed and stuff in time. So what I'm thinking this year, and maybe it's something to do in the future, I actually like the idea of it. We may do a online PDF of the program, which will have the schedule in there and the rosters, and give people a little more time to get our rosters into us, and the rules of the tournament and results of last year, some cool stuff, and just email that out to everyone, a PDF, which they could have on their phone to check if they want, or they could print it out and have a copy themselves. And this way they don't have to buy something like that there, and they always have it on their phone, and they could just share it with their whole team and whatnot, even grandparents at home or anyone. So, I like having that program in my hand personally when I do stuff work-wise, but the rosters are the big part. So anyone out there too, and we'll be getting on you about this soon. If you've registered your team yet, we are going to get you a roster form. The sooner you can get us that roster with players' numbers on it, the better. Because we do want to get them online. We are the one tournament that keeps track of stats in every division. We'll be doing that again. So all the live stats will be going on during the tournament. And, we need to have every player's name in the program, in the system to do that properly. And you can always make a change before your first game. That's not a big deal. But for the most part, we want your rosters beforehand. And, if you got to throw a name or two on there that might not play, who cares? They're on there, So we'll be busting your butts pretty soon to get your rosters to us, as we do in all our tournaments.
Yeah, you'll be getting emails from me for sure about rosters. So that's cool. I mean, I think it's obviously we have all the the books in the office from all the years, so it's kind of awesome to look back and have the hard copy.
We'll just print one.
Of each copy. But no, I think it's gonna be cool having a digital one as well. And we can put in the archives. We can always go back and look at them online. And that's pretty cool stuff too.
Yeah, no, sure. I think it'll work out well. And that's pretty much it for now. I mean, nothing else really to report yet. We're just working hard on our end to, as always, not only bring you the best roller hockey tournament in the world, basically, and the largest, but we want to bring you the most fun, safe, competitive, everything this year. you know, we're definitely doing our homework to make things even better this year for you guys. And, you know, we're proud to be bringing you again. You know, we'll be full. And I look this to be a close to 200 team tournament, you know, and it'll be the biggest again, once again this summer. So we thank everybody out there for their support. And, you know, a shout out to our sponsors, you know, even though if they're not going to be necessarily set up as booths and stuff like that, they're still very involved this year. You know, they're very involved with prizes, and we're going to send out some email blasts about things they got going on and whatnot. But, you know, we got Warrior Hockey back on this year again. You know, they're going to do some sticks again for certain divisions for high scorers again, as they always do, which I wasn't sure how that'll go with them. You know, a lot of these some of these companies have been, you know, not doing as much business. You know, the wheel companies have done great during this, and the roller hockey companies, but on the ice side, teams that, you know, Bauer on the ice side, or Warrior on the ice side with their, you know, I don't know how many guys are buying $300 sticks to use out in the street right now. So those companies have gotten hurt by this a little bit, so they need to get going again. But, you know, Warriors back involved, you know, obviously Tour Hockey, Alkali Hockey, Mission Bauer, La Beta, Connex, Rink Rat Wheels, Hockey Monkey, Goalie Monkey. I actually was chiming back and forth with Mike Urbano the other night, Greg, from Goalie Monkey about some stuff. Yeah, so they've done a ton of roller during this. Ice has been nothing, but roller they've done really well, even on the Goalie Monkey side with this. Yeah, so they're back involved. Jordan Watches is coming back involved with MVP watches for our adult divisions and whatnot. And they actually have a pretty cool prize. I won't let the cat out of the bag yet, but they're doing something a little cool different for the women possibly this year for their MVP prize. Sweet. And, you know, so Top Shelf Targets, you know, is a sponsor of ours. You know, everyone's back involved. You know, we mentioned Stillmat earlier and Car Shield, of course. But, you know, just a big shout out to all those guys that, you know, do a lot with us during the year and support the tournament with prizes and, you know, just good stuff for the game.
Yeah, we say it every year, but we do have the best sponsors. You know, they love the sport, they love to be involved with the event, and they do so much for us and, you know, the players. So it's awesome to see. I know it's a tough year for some, but it's great to have them involved with State Wars, and it's going to be a good summer. A little different, but it's going to be awesome. You know, it's going to be a good time, and I think everyone's going to enjoy themselves. So.
And I guess I can mention too. I think it's a done deal, but I know. You know, Dino had called us that day, you know, from Wheel Talk. You know, Wheel Talk has been online on Instagram doing a lot of cool stuff on the, you know, out west. You got kind of the Cali Street Hockey guys, and you got, you know, Roller Dad News does an amazing job with their stuff for the whole sport, you know, around the whole world. You know, Wheel Talk has been doing a lot of New York stuff, but they want to come out during the pro division and do some extra footage of the pro games. I think follow some players around, you know, from their daily, what goes on in their day, on the rink, during the rink, in the locker room, after the games, whatnot. And they want to do some sort of like nightly roundtable with some pro guys and talk about the division and whatnot during the pro. So that's pretty cool. They want to do some cool stuff. You and I just did a little pod with them recently that they haven't released yet, but you know, Nick Pernito, our camera guy, was coming out with us. He's helping them out with that too. So some pretty cool stuff that they want to do, and I'm pretty excited to support guys that support State Wars.
Yes, it's going to be pretty cool. You know, different. I like the round table idea. You know, after, you know, the night of pro games, they're all going to, you know, get some players around and kind of discuss the division and you know, what's going on, you know, especially for that day and for the event. So that's awesome. And I know they want to follow, you know, a couple of weeks ago, they brought up the idea of maybe following around, you know, a player a day, you know. Yeah. And, you know, kind of waking up in the morning, kind of seeing what the, you know, the daily routine is, and, you know, maybe follow them at night, see what they do at nighttime.
Right.
Just some cool stuff, different stuff that, you know, the sport hasn't seen before. So.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. You know, I saw Roller Dad News actually did something like that the other day with John Seamer, like a day in the life with him, which was pretty awesome. Because that's the exact words that Dino used with me, because I'm a big Beatles fan. A Day in the Life is, you know, arguably the greatest Beatles song ever written. So I just thought of that song when I heard that term, A Day in the Life, and I saw Roller Dad News did that as well, which is pretty awesome. And, you know, our boys from Colorado, Rob Woods and Kevin Dwyer and everyone, I'm sure.
Can't forget about Jordan.
Yeah, Jordan Hamilton. I'm sure they'll be out there as well doing some coverage as well. I mean, we haven't confirmed anything with them with that yet, but I do plan on those guys being a part of it as well. So we'll have plenty of footage out there for the Palma Pro Division this summer. And, you know, as always, I always thank my partners, with Palma, the Nijar family and Palma management for all they do for the Palma Pro Division as well as State Wars Hockey.
Yep. Good stuff. Yeah. And listen, not only will the Palma Pro Division be covered, but we'll have the entire tournament covered for every division, and it's just real exciting stuff. It's good stuff all around. So.
Yeah. So in closing here, before we let you guys go, anyone that's watching here, just again, if you do plan on playing and you have not registered your team yet, please, please, please get your team registered. Or worst case, reach out to me and say, hey, I need a couple more days to pay, but we definitely want in because we are filling up. Like I said, that senior A division, we maybe have another spot for a team. I think AA is full. 6U, 8U, and 2010s, I believe, are full. So these divisions are filling up. So please reach out to me if you want to play and get your teams registered. And have a great rest of the day, rest of the week. And definitely look forward to seeing you guys next week on this podcast, but more importantly in Fort Wayne, end of July and through the beginning of August.
Yeah, if you guys have any questions, feel free to shoot myself an email, Greg, Greg, at statewarshockey.com. You can always reach out to Tim as well, Tim at statewarshockey.com. Email is probably best right now. Obviously, if we have to get on a call, yeah, we'll give you a buzz if you want to talk on the phone, but email is probably the easiest right now, so shoot us an email.
All right. Well, thank you guys for listening here. This was State Wars Hockey Podcast number 19 from Glass Half Full Productions. Keep making lemonade out of lemons, and we look forward to seeing you guys soon.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is PJ Cavalla, the voice of State Wars Hockey, and you are watching the SWH Podcast brought to you by Glass Half Full Productions. Thank you to all of our amazing sponsors, Mission Bauer, Tour, Alkali, La Beta, Rink Rat, Conix, Warrior, Monkey Sports, Yord Watches, Car Shield, Rocket Puck, Wraparound, and Top Shelf Targets. We look forward to seeing you all on the rink soon.